Kendrick Castillo was just 3 days away from his high school graduation. For most seniors, those final hours are a blur of excitement and anticipation for the future. Kendrick was on the cusp of that new beginning, a young man passionate about robotics, ready to step into adulthood. The final days of high school are filled with nostalgia and eagerness for freedom. Kendrick had his cap and gown ready, he had plans, the future was so close. The tragedy that struck was not just an attack on a school, it was an attack on that very promise. This proximity to graduation makes Kendrick's story especially heartbreaking. It wasn't a distant dream that was stolen, it was an imminent reality. To have that moment of pure potential violently interrupted is a tragedy of an almost incomprehensible scale. The celebration that was supposed to happen, the family photos that were never taken, the future that was never lived. These absences define the initial, staggering blow. Kendrick was not just a victim, he was a soon-to-be graduate with his whole life ahead of him. Understanding this context is crucial to grasping the full weight of his sacrifice, and the loss felt by his family, friends, and community. This is the starting point for a story of immense sorrow and extraordinary courage. May 7, 2019, began like any other Tuesday at STEM school Highlands Ranch. In a British literature classroom, students were watching a movie, winding down the school year. Kendrick Castillo was there, surrounded by friends. Suddenly, a student entered, pulled out a handgun, and ordered everyone to stay still. In an instant, the ordinary afternoon was shattered. The threat of school violence became a terrifying reality. Panic and fear flooded the room. This was not a drill, it was a moment of life or death decision-making. In those first critical seconds, instinct took over. For many, the instinct is to hide or freeze, a natural survival response. The students faced an impossible choice, one no amount of drills can prepare you for. In that crucible, Kendrick's character was revealed. While others froze, he moved toward action. The events of that day would leave an indelible mark, but Kendrick's actions would ensure many of his classmates would have a future. As the gunman threatened the classroom, Kendrick Castillo did not freeze. Without hesitation, he lunged at the attacker. Two other students, Brendan Bialy and Joshua Jones, joined him. Together, they tackled the shooter, struggling to disarm him. Kendrick was the first to move, the catalyst for the resistance. His charge created chaos, giving classmates precious seconds to dive for cover. Those seconds were the difference between life and death. Because Kendrick ran toward danger, the gunman was unable to carry out a wider attack. Kendrick absorbed the brunt of the violence, sacrificing his own safety for others. Tragically, he was fatally shot, the only student who did not survive. 8 others were injured, but Kendrick's actions prevented a much greater tragedy. Law enforcement and school officials agree. His actions saved lives. He died a hero, actively saving those around him. His final act was one of ultimate love and protection. Kendrick's legacy is not just of loss but of powerful, decisive action. In the aftermath, the Highlands Ranch community was plunged into shock and grief. Vigils were held, candles flickered, and tears were shed for Kendrick and the innocents lost. The community wrapped its arms around the Castillo family, offering support and shared sorrow. But grief soon transformed into a desire for action. The community wanted to ensure Kendrick's sacrifice would be remembered in a lasting way. Friends, neighbors, and leaders asked, how do we honor a hero who gave everything? The answer: create a permanent tribute. The Kendrick Castillo Memorial Oversight Committee was formed, including community members and Kendrick's parents. Their mission to honor Kendrick with more than a plaque or a moment of silence. The committee became the focal point for ideas and plans to keep Kendrick's story alive. The community's response was a testament to its resilience and respect for Kendrick. They chose to be defined not by tragedy but by their response to it. One of the most visible tributes was the renaming of a major local roadway. The Kendrick Castillo Memorial Oversight Committee requested Douglas County rename Lucent Boulevard, a central artery of Highlands Ranch. The location was chosen for its prominence, ensuring Kendrick's name would be seen daily. The proposal gained swift, unanimous support from county commissioners. In December 2024, a formal renaming ceremony was held, attended by Kendrick's parents and state officials. In February 2025, the final street signs were installed, Kendrick Castillo Way. For residents, the change was immediate and meaningful. Driving down that road became a moment of reflection, a reminder of the young man who gave his life for others. The street sign is a quiet tribute, ensuring even those who never knew Kendrick will learn his name. A road represents a journey, a path forward. By naming it Kendrick Castillo Way, the community elevated his legacy into a guiding principle. It's a promise that his name will be a guidepost for generations. True heroism deserves to be a landmark. Throughout this journey, Kendrick's parents, John and Maria Castillo, have been pillars of strength. Their voices have been central, providing a deeply personal perspective on their son. In the face of unimaginable loss, they chose to speak out, not with bitterness, but with determination to ensure Kendrick is remembered for how he lived. John Castillo has said, "Kendrick loved people so much in a split second, he did what he had to do to save lives." For his parents, his final act was the ultimate expression of the values they instilled in him. Maria Castillo often speaks of Kendrick's gentle spirit and passion for life. Together, they have attended meetings, spoken at ceremonies, and shared their story, not for recognition, but to keep the focus on their son. Their presence ensures the story remains human and personal. They are the keepers of his memory, sharing anecdotes that transform Kendrick from a public hero into a beloved son. Their openness has inspired others to keep talking about Kendrick and to honor his legacy. They show that remembrance is an act of love that can coexist with sorrow. Their strength is a source of inspiration for the entire community. Community leaders made it clear, renaming Lucent Boulevard was more than a symbolic gesture. Commissioner Abe Layden said, "Kendrick Castillo Way is more than a street sign, it is a way of life." The tribute is an active call to action, to emulate the values Kendrick embodied. This way of life is defined by selfless courage and responsibility for others. "Running into danger to save others, that's the highest expression of who we can be," Layden said. The street becomes a daily reminder of this potential within everyone. It asks, what does it mean to live with courage? How can we protect and care for those around us? The idea is to integrate Kendrick's legacy into the community's moral fabric. While few will face what Kendrick did, his principles, bravery, decisiveness, self-sacrifice can be lived every day. The Kendrick Castillo Way is a path of active compassion and integrity. The street sign is the physical marker, but the way of life is the true memorial. It's a legacy of inspiration, calling everyone to be a little braver and kinder. The renaming of Kendrick Castillo Way is a powerful tribute, but the community wanted more. Douglas County is collecting donations for a permanent physical memorial for Kendrick. This future monument will be a sanctuary for reflection and remembrance. The vision, a place that captures Kendrick's spirit, his love for robotics, his kindness, his courage. A physical monument provides a focal point for grief and gratitude. It will be a place for family, friends, and future generations to learn about Kendrick. The fundraising effort invites everyone to be part of building this tribute. Every donation represents another person touched by Kendrick's story. The process of building the memorial brings the community together in a shared purpose. The road is a daily reminder. The memorial will be a sacred space for intentional remembrance. Together, they ensure Kendrick's legacy is both seen and felt. Kendrick Castillo's legacy is more than a single heroic act. It's an enduring call to remember the power of bravery in a world often overshadowed by fear. His story forces us to confront difficult realities, but also offers a powerful example of humanity at its best. Kendrick's choice was extraordinary, but the spirit behind it, the instinct to protect others, resides in all of us. His legacy reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Honoring Kendrick's memory is an ongoing responsibility. It means telling his story to celebrate the hero, not just the tragedy. When we drive down Kendrick Castillo Way, we should reflect on the young man it's named for and the values he represents. His story is a catalyst for conversations about what it means to be a good person and a good citizen. Kendrick's story is a reminder that heroes are real people in our communities. We owe it to him to keep his memory alive and let his legacy guide us. Let us strive to be a little more like him, quick to help, loyal and courageous. Remember his name. Remember his courage. Let his story remind us of the difference one person can make.